What's going on? What's going on? This is the Past Podcast. Not really doing a weekly episode today. This is actually going to be uploaded right away. It's your host, BT. I've been kind of in between about the identity thing, but I'm just going to kind of let it be what it is. And we'll just kind of roll with it. I'm doing this episode just kind of as a moment to sit back and really reflect and realize like how far I've come and how far I've gone with what I'm doing. And I just really want to say thank you to anyone and everyone who has taken time to either any small thing you've done has been appreciated. I've said this numerous times in some of my previous episodes, but I'm saying it now just as a way of saying thanks. Many of you have taken time and asking for the link, just trying to reach out to me and finding out what I'm talking about, things of that sort. And if you don't think it goes, if you feel as though it goes unnoticed, then you're wrong. It really is observed and really is accepted. I've started to learn more and more with the process on how to get recordings to the next level and how to get them out to the masses. So I'm willing to admit that it's been a work in progress in getting this far with the episodes. So I say all of that to just say, if you've stuck with me this long, keep hanging on. Like I said, April, this is my off. This is typically the off day. I've mostly got the podcast ready for Saturday, but it's mainly just the moments like these of just sitting down and really getting everyone to know I've been doing this and I've enjoyed doing it, but I can't do it without anybody listening or without anybody giving feedback. I've taken quite a bit of feedback. I've taken quite a bit of bumps to the jaw, I guess you could say, regarding what has worked and what hasn't worked and what I can do to improve on what I'm working on, crafting my brand, things of that sort. I've kind of distanced myself from the name, but I think I'm the identity behind the podcast. So I have been in limbo about looking at that and wondering where and how to carry it on the episodes. I won't say that I'm utilizing another podcaster skill, but I have lately, and it's starting to work for me. And that is, I'm going to work a little harder on being a lot more honest in what I say with my episodes and with myself. And that's not just with my sport, like my sports podcast. Sports podcast is pretty filtered, pretty chill. Not just because of location, but in general. I mean, you're just talking kind of sports and just shooting the breeze about different things. So that's whatever. I mean, as many of you have been around to witness, when I did the WYD, the dick pics, that was as unfiltered as it can go. I mean, I've done unfiltered episodes before and it hasn't been a big deal, but that's one that always sticks out for me as a recent episode. But I have other episodes that I've done that's been just as bad. So I'm just giving you all the preparation of knowing that it's more in store. And I'm gonna kind of chip at that a little bit today, because I'm having a conversation with someone this morning, and I've come to a very unique conclusion with myself and with other people, and it's something that I feel is unnoticed or ignored. And that's the fact that and this is a two-sided coin, we don't like to call other people out on what they aren't doing right. And we don't like to be called on what we're doing right or wrong. In other words, we don't like to be called on our bullshit. And I feel like I'm sharing this podcast, so I'm doing this conversation strictly because it's something about, we don't want to do that type of thing, because if we do so, then it feels, or it's the perception of the idea that, oh, I'm stepping on somebody's toes. Oh, I don't want to burn bridges. I don't want to ruin my relationship or my friendship with someone. When in reality, if that person is a friend as they claim to be, then they'll be a friend through everything, good, bad, ugly, right or wrong. And sometimes we we want to make people happy, but we realize making people happy is impossible. And it's, I mean, as a sidebar, I've talked about this on various occasions. This is even in my previous position with my employment. You can have a conversation with someone and do everything in your power to make that person feel pleased and satisfied in achieving what they're requesting. But if it's not getting anything done or it's not getting anything resolved, then you walk away in disgust and anger most times. So I'm saying all of that to say, just understand and know that it's never going to be easy every single time when you talk with people about various instances that go on in your life or circumstances that may come your way. You have to run across challenges with friends, and that was kind of a sidebar tangent that I did real quick, but the reason I'm mainly doing this is because I've valued friendships in ways that others only dream of understanding. And I'm sorry, I'll go ahead and let y'all know, if y'all had a TV in the background, do apologize. I can't really turn off or control it. It's not mine. I'll be clearing at least meant that much. But what I can tell you, or what I can address, is if there's something that a friend of yours is or isn't doing wrong, or if they're doing something that's not up to par, not necessarily on your benefit, but just in general, let them know. They don't know what they aren't doing if it's not being addressed. And I referenced this story because this is one of the biggest reasons why I think I'm close with one of my friends now. We've always been cool anyway, so she's probably gonna hear it, and if she hears it, then oh well. My twin, I call her my twin. She's actually, she was on the WYD podcast. We have been friends for give or take about 5 years, and friendships, like anything, build with time, and they also build through moments, and they build through situations, and it's adversity. It's a lot of things that help friendships build. Well, our friendship, it was just kind of a natural hit or miss on the fact of us having similar qualities, and then us being able to kind of acquaint with similar people and get together and do stuff, and it just kind of went the way it did, and here we are. I want to say it was almost about this time last year. So around this time last year, it may have been a little later, give or take, but we had a conversation. I was having a conversation with someone else about something regarding tattoos, and I've done a blog regarding this because it was kind of a similar instance. I'll see if I can find that blog and share it with you all. But basically, I was addressed about the tattoos I have with someone who was at an event that I was, or the gathering that I was at, and I really didn't get much of a response to it. Well, when I addressed it and talked about it, with my group of friends, and she was one of the first ones who responded. She said, that you really don't stand up for yourself. You don't have any backbone. And I took it, I took it as a shot to the chin, but I didn't get upset about it. I initially will admit that when I first heard it, it caused me to step back a little bit and really reflect on what she said, because one thing with friendships and one thing with people is when you react to something just off of natural impulse and not really think through what they stated or didn't state, then it kind of can draw a wall that shouldn't even really be there. So I kind of stepped back, I kind of looked at it and just thought about what was said, and then broke it down and said, all right, let me really think about this and see where she's coming from, because you can't, you can look in the mirror and you can see you, but you may not understand what you see when you see you. And that's probably going to go right over somebody's head, but that's okay. I'll elaborate on it in a second. You can feel or know that you're doing things right, considering, but if you really look at it and understand what's going on, you'll realize and acknowledge what could possibly have been done wrong and what you could do different to make things right. And it's beyond just that one incident or instance with the tattoos. It's just with life as a whole. The reaction I kind of gave or provided in that moment really wasn't a whole lot, solely because of the individual who made the comment about the tattoos initially, where it was like, I kind of already knew the wall I was fighting against when I started off the conversation. So it went the way it did, and it was what it was. But I'm telling that story and I'm presenting it because in spite of that conversation, or in spite of that situation or circumstance occurring, like, my twin and I literally, like, she's the true sister that I've been able to, like, she's a person who can text me at 5 or 6 in the morning and tell me something going on with a computer, and if I'm up and alert and can help, then I'm really like, all right, let me get in the car, hold on, I'm on my way. Because not everyone has that relationship or that connection with anybody. So I'm telling that story and I'm rambling into that strictly because moments come and situations are going to happen, but you have to know that if it's time heals wounds, people say, you hear the saying said that time heals all wounds. That's not just something that's just thrown out there as a word of verbiage. Time really does heal all wounds. You have to be just willing to take that time and understanding that you have to be willing to call people out on what they do and don't do. I was gonna bring the message back. I know people probably like, where is the message? You left. You gone. Come back. If it wasn't for her pointing out what was addressed in that moment, it had nothing to do with the tattoos. It had more so to do with me and working on myself and improving myself. Which since then I've done a little, and I've even said that in the podcast we did together with my other sis Jamila, where it was just kind of like hey, you got to work on this and you got to do what you got to do. If you don't do it now, that's all right. You got time to keep working on it. And I've been working on a lot more this year. Like this year, that's all I can do is laugh. It's a lot coming. Like that's the best way I can describe it. I'm not gonna I'm still sticking to my script because I don't want to leak my introduction and my outro yet. I want to wait until Saturday to do that, and a lot of you all don't have a clue what I'm talking about, which is okay. But I'm just doing this as kind of just a ramble and a conversation because I had a message and I wanted to talk about it this morning, and it kind of just hit, and I was like, all right, let me just get on the microphone, get it out of my system, because if I don't, I'm gonna just be thinking and stressing and whatever. So, thank you, birds. Good morning. We could be talking for a minute. But I'm saying all of that to just say to you, don't be afraid to call someone out on a bullshit, period. And that also applies to not being upset when someone else calls you out on what you're doing wrong or whatever you're trying to get done. Having friends and having people who cause you to learn how to be accountable is one of the greatest features to have, but it's one of the few features that we use. And I'm not saying we use people, but we don't maximize the potential of being able to call someone out on something or the willingness to tell people about what they are or aren't doing. Because you can hear someone say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Like, that's me sitting here saying, all right, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm working on a podcast. I'm really going to put a lot of effort into the podcast. And I never do anything in the end result of getting the podcast completed. I've told y'all this, or I haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and present it as an announcement now. For my year in review this year, this is where WordPress and I are going to play nice because I have to get this done to implement it to make it work. My podcast is going to be, my year in review is going to be done as a podcast. I'm not writing my year in review. I love typing. Everybody knows I'm a typist. Whatever, keyboard go hard. But this year, no. I'm ready to start simplifying smaller things to make it easier for myself and easier for my content and easier for the end result, which is the listener. A lot of us prefer to listen rather than read. Some of us do like reading. I'm not a big reader like that, but I like reading moments here and there. So I just wanted to share that and just let you know, let everyone know. And this is all my friends. If you all are listening, I'm saying this and I'm shut up because I got literally need to get ready for work and I'm tripping, straight simping right now. If you've called me out on something, thank you. If I didn't hear what you said the first time, bring it back to me again, and I'll definitely make sure I make note of it and not get screwed over in something in the long haul. Most importantly, thank y'all for taking any criticism I provided and not taking me personal in those moments, because I know I can be a little aggro, as I normally call it. But I have a tendency to be aggro at times about certain things. But I'm saying all of that to just say, if you're not patient with everyone, no one's going to be patient with you. So I'm leaving you all with those words for today, as I've kind of chipped at and I'm working on this. And Ashley, I hope you listening to this podcast. I'm always plugging you, ATLOI. She's been kind of like my podcast babe. I may as well call my podcast spirit warrior, spirit animal, because she's been grinding. That's the best thing I can say. But I'm working on keeping the episodes to 15 minutes. It's been here and there. Some days it works, other days it's like I can't control it. It is what it is. And this was a thought that I really had a lot of rambling going on, but it was beneficial to get it out of my system rather than to hold on to it for a rainy day. So with that being said, everyone stay positive. Keep working on what you're working on. Let who you are and what your brand is build itself, and don't try to live through what others are doing, because if you do, you won't get anything accomplished. So as always, check me out. I am on Twitter. I'm on Spreaker under Brite Podcast still. I've not been able to change that name. I would love to get a new name and do all that, but I'm not. No, it's way too much. But I am under Pass Podcast, PASSPODCAST, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can look up my title. You can look up my episodes on iTunes. If you go to iTunes, I'm actually surprised. This was a random announcement. If you go to iTunes, put in PASS space podcast, and you search, I'm in the midst of the search. I'm probably in the top 20, so I kind of like that. That makes me feel good. Little progress makes big results for whatever reason. So I've just been thinking about that. But I'm working on much more. I'm working on getting metrics. I'm not really trying to, and Ashley, I'm listening. I've taken notes. I'm not living and pushing myself through stats, but I value stats as learning what to do to get myself out there on the next level. So, if you have listened or you did get an episode or two, by all means, listen and share, because it might not work for you. You might not enjoy the sports podcast, but somebody might like a little bit of a sports talk here and there. So that's going to be my closeout. As always, Past Podcast, capping off yet another episode. Until next time, peace.